So, if you had asked me a week ago if I would be the speaker, I would say, no, definitely not. Someone else. And it's actually going to be a video. But I couldn't find any videos that were really inspiring. I was like, man, I don't want to put people through this video or this video. Or, they're all kind of good, but they're all kind of, not very interactive, right? Well, there still might be a video, but I thought also I'd share a little bit so that we could have something a little more interactive, right? Because the video can't see you, but I can see you. So is that fair? I want to share just real quick that yesterday I went to the gym in the morning. And it was kind of exciting, going to the gym, and it was 9 a.m. on a Saturday. I should have still been asleep, but there I was at the gym. And so we've got this really awesome cycling machine at NC State's gym where you're on the machine and you're cycling, and there's a screen, and you're riding through trails. And there are little rabbits that are running around, and I speed up to catch up with the rabbits, and it's really fun. So I'm having this really great Saturday morning, and then I'm looking at my phone because my phone knows where the bus is, and I'm walking up to the bus stop, and then I see the bus, and then I see the bus leaving, and I realize, oh no, another bus won't come for another hour. This is just the worst. And then I think about, well, now I have to walk home, and it's a 40-minute walk, and this is going to be the worst, right? But then I thought, well, actually this could be a good chance to reflect on what I want to talk about on Sunday. And so I had a 40-minute walk, and this is kind of what came to me during that walk, right? And so I'm going to share that. It's going to be really simple, right? What I want to talk about is results. And I'm going to start by sharing a couple of types of results that maybe are results that we want in our life, right? Or we want for, let's say, the church. Attendance at church, right? That's a result that probably a lot of us, want more attendance at church, for there just be more people, right? Youth coming to church, so youth attendance at church. I'm sure there's a lot of you who want more youth attendance at church. And even on a bigger scale for just the Unification Church, what about witnessing, getting growing membership numbers, right? And expanding the number of churches, Vision 2020. Those are results, right? And so why do I want to talk about results? Because I feel at the heart of every result is something very important, but if we lose what's at the heart of a result, we can get into something called forcing the result, and we lose the heart of the result. And so just to give an example, I used to be a resident advisor, right? And I had a supervisor, and at the beginning of one of the meetings, she said, okay, well, we need this done, and get it done by the end of the week. And if you don't get it done, you're getting written up. And I kind of was I kind of shot a couple of looks at the other resident advisors, and it was kind of the sense of, okay, yeah, we need to get that done, but did you really have to add that last part about threatening to write us up? And so I talked to her about this. I was yeah, I get that, you really need us to do this thing by the end of the week, but, why'd you bring up that thing about writing us up? Because I feel by saying that, you're going to get us to do the thing by the end of the week, Like it's actually going to produce the result that you want. But we're going to hate you for it. And we're not going to be inspired about doing this result. We're just going to do it because we don't want to get written up. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, you know. And kind of expressed that she's a little just worried about this result, right? But to my surprise, the next time she brought up something that we needed to do, she actually kind of took my advice and was looking at how we could be empowered around doing that result and why that result was important to do, so that we could actually be more inspired about it. So I'm going to give a really clear example that I think is repulsive, but I've fallen into this trap, and it has to do with students. So who's a student in here? Student? Okay. You know you're a student if you get a letter grade for your work. Okay. The trap is that the results that students want to produce is usually, for the most part, probably 99% of students, is to get the letter grade. And nothing's wrong with that, right? Like the letter grade is really important. But if we lose the heart behind why is it that we're getting the letter grade, then what happens is we get A's in classes that are reflective of nothing. And I've had classes where I've got an A and I felt like I didn't understand that topic. Like I didn't feel like I was an expert in it, and I probably knew as much about it as the person with the C. The only difference is the person with the C clearly didn't care enough to cram before the test. Does that kind of make sense? So I want to talk about forcing result. And what I'm going to propose is behind every result is a commitment. And that's the reason why we're trying to produce this result. So for making a good grade, actually, what I'm committed to is that I'm an expert in this field so that when I go out, I actually have the knowledge and the experience and the problem-solving practice to be able to be proficient at what I do and actually do a good job. Because you really don't want, like, I'm not a civil engineer, but you really don't want a civil engineer building bridges for you and they're the one that just crammed before the test, right? Like, you don't want that, right? So I think there's a commitment behind all of the different results I listed, like attendance at church. John Pace isn't here right now, but I'm sure that there's a lot of expectations of him, right? Because there's a result that we want to produce, like increasing attendance. And then, who's the first person to point at? The pastor, right? Like the pastor should be doing things to produce the result. But I think if we do that, all we're going to do is, suck the life out of our pastor. Instead of us really looking at, well, why is it that we have these expectations of the pastor? Because we're committed to something. And why are we committed to that? It's probably because we're committed to, creating an environment where we love to come here on Sundays, and we actually know and are confident that coming here on Sundays will give us inspiration and will give guest inspiration, right? A place that we can kind of call our home and invite people into. And so, instead of, just in this case, instead of blaming the pastor for certain results not getting produced, what if we came from our commitment of wanting this to be an inspiring place? And how can we do that? Well, one way is to blame the pastor, but the other way is to, be on the music team and create really great music, right? Another way is, to be the ones that are cleaning up the church at the end of the day and making this a beautiful place, and it looks really good. And so there's many ways that we can actually create this place as an inspiring place that's, that comes from this commitment instead of our result that we're trying to produce. And we can actually have our pastor's back in a way. Instead of it being on him, it's now on you, or it's on us, right? Now, similar with youth attendance at church. it's really like not inspiring when I hear, Gene, there should be more youth at church. Yeah, I know it would be great, right? Like there's actually a lot of youth here at church today, and it's kind of like, oh, this is kind of exciting, right? But that's not what's going to make any youth come to church, right? We need more youth at church, right? But there's a commitment behind there, like really being committed that the youth get to grow up in an environment where they're nourished and create attitudes where they're powerful in life. That's a great reason to want youth to come to church, or to contribute their ideas because they're really young and fresh ideas, right? So if you can kind of get where I'm coming from, instead of focusing on the result we're trying to produce, what if we focused on our commitment and really just stood in our commitment, right? Like kept it really simple. It's not about producing the result anymore. It's about standing in our commitment, and just that's all you have to do. You just have to stand in your commitment, and then it's kind of like in God's hands at that point, right? But we have to stand in our commitment and just keep standing there. And so, even with like witnessing, right? Imagine you got approached by a Jehovah's Witness, right? And they come up to you and they start talking to you about, what it means to be a Jehovah's Witness. And it was very clear to you that they wanted you to be a Jehovah's Witness, right? Like they just wanted you to be a Jehovah's Witness. Now, how many of you would really want to talk to this person? Okay, probably not a lot of people. You're probably like, you know what, I got my own religion and I'm good. I don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness. Like, leave me alone. Right? So, and that's like, there's a result, and just thinking about that result and how you're not going to fulfill on it is almost like, I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, if you really want me to be a Jehovah's Witness, like, I'm just going to be your disappointment, I don't want to disappoint you. But if this Jehovah's Witness, it was really clear to me that they were just committed, that I have the most, that I deepen my understanding of what's possible for love in the world, and that I get the deepest and most profound experience of and understanding of God, then I'm open to talking to this person, because it's no longer about producing the result of me getting converted, but it's about they want to make a difference for me, and I'm okay with that, and so, what if we transformed how we looked at witnessing and kind of let go of the result, right? Results are going to happen, but let go of the result and just focused on our commitment of really transforming the world, right? And transforming communities and transforming ourselves, and constantly doing that, right? And then I think, who wouldn't want to talk to someone who's just out to be a contribution to you, right? Same with fundraising. We can either be burdens to people and want their money, or we can be a contribution and of service to people, and the money is almost like just, I'm just giving you this opportunity to donate, if that would, be something that you want to do, right? Because donating can be a contribution too, so, I'm just going to let you be a contribution to me if you want. So what I want to do today is actually make it really clear on what is it that we're committed to. And I think the best way to start is oftentimes to look at the result and then backtrack and go back to the commitment. I want to share a little bit about my own big commitment, right? And that's starting a school. Like this is my big term vision, right? I want to create a school, not just one school, but like a school system with more of a holistic education where students can come and not just get prepared for life academically, but also prepared for life in their attitude and developing themselves in ways where they're really ready to tackle anything that life throws at them, right? But when I really get clear on what's behind that result of creating a school, it's really a commitment that of people living the life of their dreams, And I want people to be able to live their life of their dreams by having an attitude where they get that they're the one that has a say in how their life goes, and they're not just a victim to their circumstances, right? And so when I get clear on that, I get that actually I don't need to create a school. What if I find a school that's already doing that, and I can just expand that school, right? So I actually, for me, I used to be really big. I want to start my own school, and I was really set on it has to be my own. But now I'm really detached from that. It could be a school that I find that I just fall in love with, and I expand it. Take that a step further, it could be a gym. Now, I never would have, when I think of people who want to start gyms, I'm like, good for you, but I would, that's not me, because I feel like that's all physical, right? It's all physical. And I'm just not big on physical. I want to work on people's attitudes and have conversations like that. But what's clear to me now is if you can get someone to go to the gym, consistently in their life, they're going to transform their exercise, their fitness, their health, but they're also going to just transform in general. Because if you think about going to the gym, it's a rainy day, it's cold, you have every reason of why you should not go to the gym, right? Now that's life. And if you can still go to the gym and honor your commitment to your health, then in life, whenever we have excuses of why we should not go out, to church, or, why we should not be, creating this event, or whatever reasons and excuses come our way, if we can still go to the gym on that cold, rainy day, then we're really setting ourselves up for an attitude of honoring our commitment, despite any reasons. So now I'm really clear, I can see myself actually being excited about starting a gym, right? Now, I still want to start a school, but you can see how I'd actually see that I could be in a gym and still feel like I'm honoring my commitment of transforming people's attitudes. And the gym is a great way to do that. So I exercise every day, right? And it's so easy for me to be it's really late, it's 2 a.m., and I really need to get to bed, and I have all these reasons of why I should skip a day of exercise. And just recently, maybe 2 weeks ago, I was skipping so many days, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to exercise every day, no matter what. And even when it's a day that I really don't feel like I have time, I'm going to just exercise for 10 minutes real quick, right? And I started doing this, and it's totally changing my life. Because I've got this commitment, and I actually am honoring it, despite all the reasons of why I shouldn't be. I think that we've got to be open to receiving bigger results than we can even imagine. And I think we've got to be open to receiving different results that are still in line with our commitment. I need everyone to be sitting next to someone. So find a partner, or find two partners. Two partners is fine too. Okay. So here's something that I just find to be magical, right? I get clear on what it is that I'm committed to, and I just feel so much more creative, right? It could be a school, it could be someone else's school, it could be a gym. It could be a business where I really just focus on all the employees loving their job. And so I feel more creative. So with your partner, or two partners, that's fine too, just share what's a commitment. And if you're not clear on the commitment, just share what's a result that you're out to produce. And then the partner, your job is very simple. All you do is you ask, why? and then share what's the deeper commitment behind that commitment. So like behind my school, it's transforming people's attitudes. Now, why am I committed to that? Because I want people to live the life of their dreams and to be able to handle whatever life throws at them. So share your commitment, and then get deeper into what is it at your core that actually you're just really, really passionate about and you would do for free, right? And I'm just going to give you guys a couple minutes and switch on your own time, right? So one person's going to go, and if the second person who's asking why is pretty inspired about what the first person is asking, then great, switch and move on. All right, is that clear? All right. So I'm going to give you guys just a couple minutes. Go ahead. I don't know exactly what anyone said about anything, but I hope you got clear on some sort of commitment, because I feel like oftentimes we don't communicate what actually is our interest, like what we actually want for people, we're actually committed to for people, and instead it turns out to be something like, you know, oh, like let's say you have a 5-year-old, oh, go do your homework, right? And it becomes more of like this, you know, they're like, oh, like, you know, my parents hate me or whatever. But the commitment is like, you know, I want you to be successful in life, right? I want you to be able to, you know, live your life in a way where you're actually prepared to be able to choose whatever you want for your life. So what if, you know, what if we're coming from our commitment to people, you know, this is actually what I want. So I want to show a short video, and it has to do with, so I'm saying that there's results that we want, and there's a commitment behind those results. Now there's also a lot of concerns that we have, and I think that oftentimes the concerns come from there's a result that we want, and we're afraid that we're not going to get it. And so I think that behind every concern, there's still that same commitment of what's important to us. And if we can really get clear on that, we can get through any concerns and anxiety, and we really don't need to like suffer through, you know, being afraid of not producing results. Instead, we can just stand in our commitment. So I want to show a short video of someone who is really good at this whole like peace of mind thing. And just show a short clip.
We all have the potential. Dear brothers and sisters, indeed I am very happy.
But what does happiness mean to a Buddhist such as the Dalai Lama?
Hey, I usually describe happiness in the sense more satisfaction. Happiness not necessarily some pleasures of the experience, but neutrals of the experience can bring deep satisfaction.
In your experience, what makes you truly happy?
I believe, see, the peace of mind, that peace of mind also is to come, firstly, warm-heartedness. That, I think, reduce ill feeling towards others, and also reduce distrust. I always I never consider myself as something special. If I consider myself something different from you, like I'm Buddhist, even more I'm His Holiness Dalai Lama, or even if you consider I'm Nobel laureate, then actually you create yourself as a prisoner. I forget these things. I simply consider I'm one of the 7 billion human beings. We are mentally, emotionally, intellectually, we are same.
A point he rather inadvertently proved through an unexpected story about gas.
When in aeroplane, sometimes this gas problem comes, then you see, difficult to let out. So occasionally, you see, look around, it's the ultimate source of satisfaction within ourselves. If you do wrong things, mainly harming others, you get negative consequences. If you do helping others, bring more happiness to others, you get benefit. More inner strength there, and more sort of confidence of purpose of life and fulfillment about that purpose, then you always feel happy. When we are young, very much so alive, these inner values. And we grow up, particularly the society where not much talking about these values. Only talks, when we read newspaper or television, sports, or money, a number of dollars, like that. And all the advertising sound because of the material values. No one telling, no one sort of explaining the importance of warm-heartedness.
Despite this, he says there is a lot to be happy about if we only look in the right places.
Early part of 20th century, later part of 20th century, much positive change took place. I think world, yes, there is a lot of crisis, a lot of bad things, but also is a lot of good things.
And yet, we have been told to fear anyone and everyone, a reality, he says, that is impacting one of the fundamentals of human happiness.
So, we are social animals. Therefore, friendship is very essential. Friendship becomes trust. Fear and trust go contradiction. More fear there cannot develop trust. With fear, how can develop friendship?
It's little wonder then that loneliness has become the #1 cause of depression in the West.
And a big city, a lot of people, but just think oneself, self-centered attitude, and no idea or sense of love. Then, too much competitive sense. Then jealousy. Jealousy brings distrust. Distrust brings frustration. So therefore, and fear. Then the lonely feeling automatically comes. So lonely feeling is not creation of environment, but creation of your own mental attitude.
But the thought leader says there is hope, if only we could seek a slightly different goal.
I think eventually we can develop more deeper curiosity because of the experience about our life. Make some pledge. Now on, I must make a new person. Same body, but new person.
Your Holiness, I have to thank you.
Right. So the one thing that I just want to note about the video is it's very clear that the Dalai Lama doesn't have a lot of anxiety in his life. And I think, like, kind of what he was saying, that that loneliness gets created by our own mental state. Buddhists in general have a focus on how you're being, right? Western society is more like what you do, and then Buddhists are more like who you're being and what's kind of your state of mind. And so when we have like, you know, the anxiety of needing to produce a result, what if we got really clear on just what it is that's really important to us, and just focused on that instead of the result. And I think what kind of our church is kind of like built on several different like religious ideas and philosophies, right? And so I think one thing that our church emphasizes that's really great is that it's not just about who you're being, but it is what you're doing as well. And so producing results are important. But what if instead of getting caught up in the results, we made very clear what it is that we're committed to, and we're out to, you know, create results. But the results are more of a reflection, like we can reflect on how we're fulfilling on our commitments by looking at our results. Instead of trying to produce the results so that we feel like we're fulfilling on our commitment. So it's like the other way around, right? You know, this is like, I'm kind of talking about ourselves getting clear on our commitments, right? But also when we're listening to others to really get that when people have concerns or people have expectations of what we should be doing with our life, that they're coming from a commitment too. And whether it's articulated or not, like what if we really just try to get into their world of what is their interest for me that they would have these expectations or be concerned or whatnot. Like my friend, she actually had this issue with her dad where she really wanted to get away from her dad. Like she was like, kind of thinking about, you know, getting away from him completely and like running away. And for me, what was clear was that she was really committed to having a great relationship with her dad. And she really wanted to get away because that just wasn't the result that was getting produced. And I was like, well, yeah, you know, I get that you really love your dad. She was like, yeah, I do. And so, you know, she was concerned, she had anxiety, and she wanted to get away from her dad, but really there was a deeper commitment behind that. And it was about she loved her dad, right? So I just want to finish with one last thing, and that's that I had this golden ring, and my dad gave it to me actually. And I went to the gym Saturday morning because I lost the ring at the gym. So actually I went to go find it, right? And did some exercise while I was there on the bike with the rabbits, you know? I was looking for the ring and I couldn't find it. And so I kind of reflected on what the ring has meant for me, right? So my middle finger, it used to be on my middle finger, and it's feeling kind of bare right now. But what it was because I don't wear jewelry, it was very noticeable. I always noticed my ring. And what the ring was for me was, it was a reminder that I live my life based on my commitments. And not just like what I feel like doing, right? Like I really feel like sleeping in on a Saturday morning, but I'm going to get out of bed because I'm committed to living a life that I'm proud of and making a difference for people. And it's actually worked wonders for me, right? Like having this ring and I just remember it and I'd be like, yeah, like really don't feel, you know, like when you get upset at someone, you can intellectually think about how, no, I shouldn't get upset at them, but you know, my body reacts, right? And so I'll be upset at someone, I'll be like, kind of ego tripping in a way. And the ring for me was like always a reminder, like, no, who I am is I'm committed to being a space of love for people, right? And so there were times when I'd be ego tripping, and this ring would be a reminder that, you know, no, what am I committed to? And I would always like have to remember, what is it that I'm committed to? Because we make decisions every day, and what are we making those decisions on? What we feel like doing, or what's true to our heart, you know? So that's it. and I'm going to close in prayer. God, thank you for this great opportunity for us to be here together and really just kind of explore together what it is that we can give our lives to and what it is that we can do to best bring the world closer to you and really a sense of joy and harmony. So thank you for this opportunity for us to just be with each other, and I'd like to offer this Sunday service up and report this in my name, Gina Honeycutt, son of Al and Ryoko Honeycutt, blessed your family, Ajit.